Yes, that's correct, Matt. 1 million a year. Right now there's 30 cobalt processing facilities in China and zero in North America. So, we need to catch up here. And luckily we started this process a few years ago before the IRA and the other laws, and now we're catching a nice tailwind. So it's going really
Do you
well.
do you get any financing benefits from that, tax breaks from that legislation? I mean, are there subsidies that you can take advantage of here?
Yeah, absolutely. Though I will say we were going to do this plant without those subsidies, but it's a great help for us for sure.
So, how much are you going to spend to build this plant? I know that Yuma, because I read in a local newspaper, expects to have a ton of revenue, sort of
Some new jobs
as a
and stuff.
knock-on effect,
Yeah.
jobs and everything. But how much are you going to spend to build it, and when are you going to be done making it?
Ballpark around $300 million, and it'll be done in 2026, we think.
All right. So what actually happens at a cobalt processing facility, and how's that part of the whole battery situation?
So cobalt is a really important metal for EV batteries, for thermal regulation, and for energy density, and for giving you long range and good cold weather performance. It's also extremely important in aerospace and defense. It's used in hypersonic missiles and stealth bombers. So it's a really critical material for the United States to have self-sufficiency in. So what we do is we take cobalt hydroxide, so already processed cobalt that is processed in Africa, and then it'll come here to the United States instead of going to China. And what the Chinese do is they just process it there and then send it back to the United States for the cars here, such as Tesla and other electric automakers. But we want to skip the China step, just bring it straight here to America, process it into cobalt sulfate, which is the salt that goes into the cathode portion of the EV battery, and sell it to the new plants that have been announced in the United States by General Motors, LG, Samsung, Ford. They're spending billions of dollars building these what they call battery precursor plants. They're going to get nickel sulfate, cobalt sulfate, manganese sulfate, and put it all together and make a battery pack.
Now, I've seen, I guess, a rendering of the plant in Yuma, and one of the things you immediately notice, Paul, check this out.
Yeah.
Giant
Yeah.
solar facility, even bigger than the actual processing plant. So I know you guys want to be carbon neutral. This is all going to be powered by the sun?
Yes, indeed. Yuma County is the sunniest county in the United States, so it's pretty easy, we think, to do the full-on solar power, 100% solar, no greenhouse gases, no propane, no diesel. So we also are going to be benefiting the local farmers by selling them back some of our excess solar production at cost. They're losing a lot of hydro power from the lower levels on the Colorado River. So they're very excited about our coming in and building this facility there.
Well, I heard that you like Yuma not only because I guess apparently your wife is from Yuma, for one thing.
That's right.
It's
Yeah,
also
that's
very
smart.
sunny, low cost of living, low regulatory kind of hassle there, but it's close to like all the used batteries coming back out of California is what I read. So are you recycling cobalt there?
We will. We intend to recycle as well. So, our first phase is to build a sulfate facility, which is sort of, I think, the easier thing. It's a very established technology around the world. As I said, there's 30 of these plants in China. And then as more and more batteries are spent and used up, we want to recycle some of those into turning them around and getting the cobalt back out of them. And then lastly, we want to add a cobalt metal facility for aerospace and defense. So that's part of the strategic reserve announced by the president under the Defense Production Act.
How do you think you will be able to compete against the Chinese? They obviously have much greater scale, presumably government support to some level. How do you think about the competitive environment?
Well, there is no cobalt mined in China either. They all take it out of Africa. So we're
Gotcha.
competing with them in Africa. We're going to bring it here instead of taking it to China. And so logistically, we save money. The other great thing about Yuma County and where we are, it's right on the border of California and Mexico. So we're going to come through the port of Long Beach or the port of Ensenada with our inputs. And it's only 3 hours by truck from Ensenada or Long Beach. So I think logistically, it's a great spot. We're on Interstate 8. We're on the UP Railroad. So we picked it also because logistics are important in these kinds of deals.